Ladies and gentlemen, you do not know me. This is my one of my first videos on my YouTube channel. Actually, and shout out to Divinity for this Dragon Ball Sparking footage. This gameplay footage which directly relates to what I'm about to talk about today. Now, some of you may know who President Rose is. I've been watching him for a long time. I've actually played Xenoverse 2 with him on one of his live streams a minute ago. If I still have that footage, I will try to find it. But shout out to Rose. I was just on his live the other day telling him when Sparking Zero drops, he's getting dropped off day one. I'm banging out with him. I've already pre-ordered it. You can see it right here on screen. Yes, sir. It is that. And what I do want to talk about today is this video that Rose just dropped an hour ago. And I sat here and watched the whole video, and there were fair points, and there were some points that really did not make any sense. So I don't know the guy Rose was talking to. I don't know him personally. I don't know him at all. I haven't even seen the video that Rose and his peoples was referring to. But they had him on a Discord call talking about why he thinks Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is quote unquote as a money grab and will just end up being Kakarot PvP. Now, bro, just the thought of what he was saying is mind-boggling to me. When you see this gameplay footage, it's clearly Tenkaichi. Now, mind you, for those who have played this game at Summer Game Fest, they have said it is Tenkaichi. It is literally Tenkaichi updated, literally. And they were playing a slightly older build. Now, people like Afro and Dada Doya and C Reacts, like they all said, yeah, it's Tenkaichi. It is definitely Tenkaichi. Now, this guy had said this in the video.
That's what it's gonna look like. Can I ask a question, right? So you're telling me that you upload every day or a couple times a week talking about this game being ass. So what's the purpose of that? Like what will it do in the long run for you and the company? Let's say they're watching your videos 100%. What is it doing for them and what is it doing for yourself?
Well, what it's doing for me is that I'm able to use a platform to give a differing opinion because there are plenty of Sparking Zero glazers who are letting nostalgia goggles cloud their judgment of the game and
Sure,
not
let's say
present
that.
a realistic opinion of the game. I'm looking at the content, presenting it in a video, giving a differing and realistic opinion minus the nostalgia, minus the glazing, and I'm giving people that real opinion, a real unbiased opinion. And if that opinion happens to come out to be what you perceive to be negative, then that's what it is. Hey, I'm just
So
telling
how
the
does this
truth.
Asked him a question, and he replied, and it said that he's giving a fair and realistic opinion. Now, listen to what he said. A realistic opinion. There is no such thing as a realistic opinion. The only thing that is realistic about an opinion is that it's an opinion, which is what you think. He was trying to make points that have not been confirmed about this game. One thing that has been confirmed and is shown in the footage, if you go look and track it down, there is environmental destruction that is permanent, that will stay. They are always working on the models for this game every time they show something new. And yes, he made a point about the character slots and the fact that they have transformations as their own slot. Now, the only Tenkaichi game that had transformations as their own slot was the very first Tenkaichi game. That was the only game. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 also had certain transformations depending on the variant as a separate character slot. For instance, the regular Goku in the game has base form, Kaioken, Super Saiyan, 1 all the way through 3. There is another version of Goku that is Super Saiyan Blue. Then there's a Super Saiyan God variant. Then there's an Ultra Instinct variant. Then there is another Ultra Instinct variant, Ultra Instinct Sign. Same goes for Vegeta. There's a Super Saiyan God variant. Then there's a Majin Vegeta variant. Then there's a Super Saiyan Blue variant. Do you see what I'm saying? And if I'm not mistaken, I might be tripping, but I believe there is an evolution variant as well. Plus, the new version of Vegeta they just introduced. So, the point he was making was not valid as to why the game is ass. This game does not look ass. This game looks very, very detailed. It looks like they put a lot of time into the characters, and I'm not going to ramble on for 15 minutes. I don't want to ramble on for 10 minutes about what he's saying, because at the end of the day, there is no such thing as a realistic opinion. This game looks fun. It looks like what it needs to be. If you were going to bring this series back, they are doing exactly what they need to do. And sure, he was saying that he liked to see all of the characters from Tenkaichi 3 in this game, plus the super characters and whatever else they were planning to do. Now, I have to tell you, sir, this is realistic right here. I don't know you. Once again, I don't know you personally. I haven't even come across your videos. I watch President Rose videos, and sometimes, honestly, I disagree with Rose has to say, because for one, everybody is entitled to an opinion. Rose is a great YouTuber. Sometimes you don't agree with everything somebody has to say. But when you try to force that on somebody and make them believe your view of a realistic opinion, you come off as desperate and you come off as a hater, my friend. Now listen to me. When Tenkaichi 2 came out, that roster was already massive, right? And some versions of the game had characters that were not in one version. In the Japanese version of Tenkaichi 2, you had Demon King Piccolo. In the American version, you did not have him in the game. In Budokai Tenkaichi 3, they expanded the roster to include Demon King Piccolo, and then you got loads of other characters like the Pilaf Machine and like General Blue and Devilman, and like you got more Dragon Ball characters, and then you got gag characters like Arale, and then you had characters just to bloat the roster out to make it a big roster. That's when you got Fasha and King Vegeta and Bardock's crew. That's when you had those characters added. Those characters were added to bloat the roster up and give people more expansion, because there was not a current Dragon Ball anime you could take characters from. The only other anime you could have done at that time when that game came out, because now mind you, the Yo Son Goku Return Special did not come out until a year after Budokai Tenkaichi 3. You could not add Tarble at all. If you were to dig back into GT, you would have added another Gohan, which you already had 3 or 4 of those in the game. You would have added a Goten. You would have added another Goten, which wouldn't have been bad. You would have added the GT Trunks. Like, bro, you would have been adding characters that were bloated. They would have had full power energy waves and one move from the variants already in the game. It wouldn't have made sense. It would have just been bloating the roster with more unnecessary characters. The only reason these special characters got introduced into the game is because they wanted variety. Right? Now, with Dragon Ball Super being a thing now, you have more variety than you did back then. So now you have Kanasa, and you have Universe 3, and you have Universe 6, and you got all these different universe characters that have a lot of variety. We might even see some of these Namekian characters from Super that we've never seen in any game. We might see some of them. Just like we got Bergamo. That's an entirely new character for variety, but actually has meaning, instead of adding characters that had very little meaning back then, bro. Like, that's an opinion. That's an opinion. That's a realistic opinion. It didn't make sense back then when we had those characters, but you thought it was cool back then because, wow, we've never seen them in the game. It's the same thing with the super characters now. Wow, we haven't really seen them in their game where they get introduced. But these characters now have meaning, bro. They have some actual meaning because we've never seen them, and it makes sense for them to be in the game. they actually had multiple episodes instead of these characters who had 25 minutes on screen time, if that. So yes, he is right in some regard, but most of this regard is wrong. You said, and you could go watch President Rose's video if you want to. I will plug his channel. He said that, and this part of the clip, you have to find it. It's later in the video, but basically, they showed a clip of one of the city stages with environmental destruction, right? And he looked at the picture, and clearly there are buildings falling in the video, literally. And he said that's not destruction. You go to Xenoverse and you see the same thing. Now, there's a clear difference between Xenoverse. I'm going to put pictures up. There's a clear difference between this destruction and this destruction. In Xenoverse destruction, it shows up, then it disappears. And it stays there, but it's not as prominent as this, where it breaks, the rubble is on the ground, and the whole entire building around it collapses, and now it's not there at all anymore. So when one thing breaks, everything around it breaks. You go through a building, one part of the building breaks, the whole thing breaks, and it leaves a crater. In some of the World Tournament footage for Sparking Zero, if you look at the footage, when an attack happens, or an ultimate attack or a super attack happens and it does damage, it stays there the whole time. It does not automatically regenerate like in the former Tenkaichi games. The only stage in the Tenkaichi games that really had memorable stage destruction was the Cell Games Arena. If you broke it and managed to break it, it would stay gone. And it would just be a plain dirt field. So my point being, I'm not going to make this video long. My point being is that everybody's entitled to an opinion about this game, but one thing that the core majority of fans can agree about is that every time there has been a complaint about this game, they have went back and they have fixed it. And yeah, the game ain't perfect. Like when the trailers first got shown, Vegeta's face was a little, some of the gameplay looked a little rocky. Some of the animations had Vegeta's head halfway off his shoulders. But once again, they went back and they fixed it. Some of the gameplay looked wonky. They went back and fixed it. So what I am saying is you can have criticism. Make sure, like dude was saying in the video, you have constructive criticism that makes sense and you're not nitpicking. The game ain't perfect. I don't think it's going to be perfect on release, but it's going to be fun and they're going to fix what they can, like they've said. So yeah, man, that's all I had to say. If y'all want to see more videos get posted, I'm going to post this today. If like I'm going to post this right after I finish doing what I have to do to it. Like, I swear I am. And I hope President Rose sees this so he can give some input on what I'm saying. But if y'all want to see more, like, comment, subscribe. Zay out, man. I'm sick of these delusional people, bruh. It's crazy.